Good morning. So thank you for joining me. I'm Panda Bennett, and today we are joined with Brittani, the creator of the Healing Not Broken inspiration cards. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, like she said, I'm Brittani Zahourek. I created the Healing Not Broken deck, um, which she so kindly is going to talk about a little bit today with me. Um, I am a mom of 2 kids. I also own a restaurant business with my husband. So that's kind of our main thing, but these cards have become more and more a part of my life, and I'm not mad about it. It's been such a blessing. And I'm so grateful that you want to talk about them with me.
I absolutely love these, and they're so beautiful too. So did you do graphic design, or did you do hand draw like these images?
Okay, so most of them in this deck, I did pencil to paper. And
Really?
then, yeah, and then I took a picture of them. And then I upload them to the computer. And there's a couple of fun apps that you can mess with to add some color and some cool designs to them. And then with this deck, a lot of them, at least half, I would say, I handwrit the words on them. Otherwise, I would type them on Canva or something like that. But I did draw them all, yes.
That's amazing.
Thank
So
you.
just tell me like a little bit about you, about your journey. Like how did you come to making this deck?
Oh, okay. So I would say 2018, I started my personal development journey. I was actually selling shampoo with a company called Money, which is amazing. I love it. But within that company, they encourage you to do personal development. And at that time, I'm like, what is personal development? I have no idea what you're talking about. Just because you're in robot mode, like, and if you're not exposed to these things, you just have no idea. So I kind of dove into that, and oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. It was just, I found all of these new people. I started listening to podcasts about self growth and all of this. And I was like, where has this been all of my life? Like, it is such a game changer. Um, so I would say pretty much all of 2018, it felt like I was going uphill the whole time. Like, oh my gosh, like growth, growth, growth. And then 2019 came, and a couple of things happened just to kind of derail that and just. So based on what I was going through, I no longer had the motivation to do the personal development. It just didn't feel, I just didn't have the motivation. It was just, I was in a very sad, depressed place. And um, during that 2018 stretch, I had come across Gabby Bernstein's affirmation cards. And
Yes.
I fell in love with them. They're so beautiful, and they helped me so much. So I always had that personal development foundation, and then those cards in the back of my mind as I'm going through all of these things that I'm going through in 2019. I have a very hard time putting my emotions into words, like the things that I feel so deeply. I just don't feel like I can express them well enough to make people understand what I am feeling.
Right.
And art became my outlet. So when I couldn't express something, but I could just feel that overwhelming emotion inside of me, I was like, I need to get this out somehow. Like, I don't want to be snappy. I don't want to be crying all the time, which those are fine emotions, but I didn't want that all the time. So I needed an outlet. So I started drawing without the intention of making a deck. I just drew and drew and drew and drew. And then, was it the beginning of this year, January, I went to a personal development conference. One of my best friends asked me to go, and I wanted to cancel about 10 times because I was in that space where I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't want to. And I ended up going anyway. And when you're there, they kind of want you to dream for yourself. And it kind of felt nice to put myself in that point of view again. And I had wrote down, she's like, what do you want to do? What is your dreams? And to be honest, I'm a people pleaser, so working on it. But all of my life, I have dreamt for everybody else and done what everybody else needs and not looked at myself. So when she asked that, I was caught off guard. I was like, for my dang, I don't know. What do I want to do for myself? And then without even putting much thought into it, it's like create your affirmation deck. Because I had been searching for another one like Gabby Bernstein's, and I just couldn't find one that I had connected to yet. So I was like, I mean, I think I could maybe do that. I don't know. So I just wrote it down without the intention of actually following through at the time, just because I was in a weird state. And I was like, well, I'm going to write it down and see what happens. And then got back from the conference, and about 3 months later, the affirmation decks kind of just came into my mind again. And I was like, okay. Like, you know, when you're just sitting there and then something just like comes to you and you're like, okay, let's
Yeah.
look into that a little bit. So I looked into it, and there was a lot of self-doubt while I was making these. And I'm like, you know what? Those cards help me. I'm going to make these just for myself. I wasn't being selfish by any means. I just didn't have the confidence to put them out into the world
Yeah.
yet.
That's
So I made them
understandable.
for myself, and shared them with friends and family. And they're like, you need to sell these. I was like, we'll see.
Mm.
So I put them on Etsy, and they took off. And it's been a blessing, because not only is it helping me heal still, it's helping other people. And I get to hear their stories and connect with people that have gone through similar things. And selfishly, it has helped me not feel as alone. It's given me purpose. And it's so beautiful to be in that community of people that need this healing and growth. And I'm very grateful that it's come to what it is so far.
Yeah, no, these cards. So first of all, I don't know where you came up with the title for the deck, but when I read that, like I don't know, I felt like someone was like hugging my spirit, or like hugging these like broken parts of me that have gone through like trauma. And then um just so often, well, like as people, because we're so busy, not only as people but then especially like as moms, it's like you don't dream for yourself, or you're so busy, or you have self-doubt, or and just what you were talking about, I just knew that I had to sit down with you, because just even what you're talking about of like, you're like, I just didn't feel like doing it, I didn't feel like doing it. So that is something that like I struggle with, and I feel like you can even see it on my YouTube channel, because like sometimes you'll get 3 videos a week, and then there's sometimes that I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you are in these places that you can't do things, like we still have to show up. You have to show up for work, and you have to show up for your kids, and you have to do all this other stuff that like you, I don't know, it's so hard sometimes to find that extra time to be for yourself, and to do the healing, and to do the work. And um I wish that someone had been there to say that to me, to so many of the things that the cards that you made have said to me. And so yeah, the healing not broken, like that, I feel like is just going to be my 2020, like my whole title for 2020. And it's so beautiful, and it made me feel beautiful. And so I don't know, thank you. I'm really inspired by it. And just, yeah, you're just comforting a lot of people and inspiring a lot of people. And that whole phrase, I don't know, did someone say that to you, or you just like, you were strong
No,
enough to tell it to yourself? That's amazing. I mean, gosh.
to be to be honest, I don't remember where it came from. I think so. Like as I do these drawings, sometimes I will start the drawing based on something I had told myself that day. I'm like, okay, how can I express this into a drawing? Sometimes I will just look at something on Pinterest and be like, okay, I can literally feel what you're feeling in that image. Let me put my own spin on it. It just like whatever I needed to get it out. And then I would pair a quote with it. But throughout the quotes and the drawing, and you would see things with quotes about being broken. And I was like, no, you're not broken. No. And I tell that to myself way more than I like to admit. And the reminder of the fact that you're healing, not broken, I was just like, that's what I like, that's what I need every single day. And it just became the title of my deck. And I was like, this is perfect. And then all of the cards inside of this deck are related to that, and things that I needed to remind myself of every day, that I wasn't necessarily getting from anybody else. And I was like, I'm going to at least tell myself these, even if I pull a card and I'm like, sometimes I'm not going to lie, I'll pull a card and I'll read it and it's super motivational and I'll be like, but it's me talking to me. You know what I mean? Because it's like, no, you wrote this for a reason. Listen to what it's saying. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go do this today. But I do. I have my bad days too, just like everybody else. It's just having that extra piece in my life, whether it's 5 minutes looking at my card or if I pull a couple a day or whatever. But it's become more and more of my daily routine, and it has become that because of the connections I'm making with people, and the stories that I'm hearing are a blessing to be a part of, because I know a lot of people don't feel like they have anybody to talk to, or don't have a support system. And I'm like, I just hope these cards find people that literally don't have anybody, and this is a voice of like, hey, you're not alone, you're not broken, you're healing. Because there's a lot of, it's hard to get out of that hole. It really is.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I've said that so often, like even to my husband, I'm like, I'm broken. I've got these broken pieces. And that's just such a better way to look at it. It makes me feel better about myself to be like, instead of I'm broken, like I'm healing and I'm working on it and growing. You know what I mean? That's, I really appreciate that. I like it. So
you just gave me goosebumps saying that.
Yeah, no, I do. I always have said that. I mean, for years and years. And I've said that to my husband, like, oh, I'm, and so then after I got this deck and I started thinking about that phrase, because I always like, I've had some trauma in my life that I've been trying to, I guess, heal from, but I've often said like, oh, I'm broken, or I lost the person that I lost that girl, I can't see her anymore. And so after like sitting with that phrase and working through these cards, I was like, well, maybe I didn't lose her. Maybe she's not gone. Like maybe I've evolved. Maybe I've changed into something stronger, like instead of just being lost and being broken. So like, I really appreciate that. And it's not something that I would have come to on my own. For some reason, it's just really hard to do that inward work on your own. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so like with tarot, reading cards is like very therapeutic, and I help a lot of other people touch on issues that they have. But like for myself, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help myself. I mean, that sounds ridiculous, but it really is. You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah. So I just had to tell you that. So that's really, I don't even know. It was really a profound experience for me. So
the universe brought this deck to you for a reason. So that's beautiful to hear.
Yes. And so, okay, so I was looking on Instagram. So first of all, I see you and your daughter packing boxes, which was like the cutest thing. And I absolutely love this packaging. I love that this deck came with no plastic whatsoever. So I really appreciated that. Like even on the inside, it had like the paper bands to keep the cards together, which is usually plastic. We like our COVID 2020 being locked down, like other people like made bread or, Netflix series, this and that. We really have tried to do like a more green household, or like a more sustainable, like zero waste, low waste. And so like I've been learning a lot about like how plastic affects the environment and like this and that. And of course you always know it's bad. I mean, you hear about it, but it's like, you're busy and you have kids and like this and that. Well, we were like, okay, let's really try to make these changes and do these different swaps and that kind of stuff. And so we've made huge leaps and bounds in our household, but like I felt like the only place that wasn't really honoring this was in my cards. Like they'd be like the outside box would be wrapped in plastic and the inside would have a
Mm-hmm.
plastic insert, and then once you get into the deck, like the cards would be shrink wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm the one that's bringing in the most plastic like in my spiritual practice, and that made me feel really sad. So I was just really, I really appreciate like the packaging. And then it was so sweet that I saw you guys like packaging up orders and like sending them out. I think that's what's so great about indie decks is like that, those little things that are so human and beautiful that you don't get like when you get an order from Amazon, you know?
Right. Yeah, 100%. Oh, I appreciate you saying that.
And okay, so you have other things in the works, you have other things coming, is that right? Because I saw a box that was a different color. So I was like,
Yes, yes. So I actually just launched these continue to grow decks.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So it's kind of a continuation from my healing process from those decks. But when I started those decks, so I haven't got into why I've necessarily made my cards yet. I don't know when I will. If you want to do an interview about that later, I can, but I have to like be emotionally prepared.
Yes. No, I understand.
um I had an initial trauma that triggered me to start drawing. So with that initial trigger, I'm like, I'm going to go to therapy because I don't want to be bitter. I don't want to be snappy. Like I want to continue to heal. And if I just push them down, it's not going to heal. So as you go to therapy, I'm learning you don't start with your initial trigger. You start back in childhood. And then you go from your childhood and you just, all these things are just continuing to pop up that I had just pushed down, forgot about, or didn't think that they were a big deal. So I'm working through all of those things that are popping up. And I kind of needed that reminder that you are continuing to grow. Just because things are popping up, that doesn't mean that you're going backwards.
Right.
And I kind of just needed that push and another reminder. And I love to draw. So I was like, why not? Let's just make another deck, see what happens. So I launched this deck the 26th is when I started shipping them. Yeah. So really, really recent. And so far they're going really good.
Can you show us like those card backs or like some of those cards?
Yes, for sure.
I'm so excited. Yeah,
Okay.
like I think so I'm in South Dakota. And so especially like here, the mentality is very like cowboy up, like
100%. I get that.
Tough it out. And the thing about it is that everyone has trauma, like whether it's losing a loved one or everyone has trauma that they go through. And so it's, I mean, people are like, I don't need counseling, or like, no, I don't have anything that's that big. But like really, and sometimes even if it's not grief based or trauma based, just having someone to speak to about the things that we carry around and we're not even realizing it. And that goes all the way from childhood, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it just,
100%.
yeah, exactly. And so like, when you keep saying like, I get snippy, that happens to me too. And like, I can hear myself like being short with people, or like being short with my children or like my husband or like this and that. And then in therapy, like I found that like that comes from like an overflow of anxiety or like emotions that you're holding. And then it just comes out in that way, or it comes out in me. It comes out in everyone in different ways. But for me, I get like, as soon as I get overly anxious or like upset, then I'm really like short. And so then people would think that like I'm uptight, or you know what I mean? Snippy,
Yeah.
I guess is like the perfect word, but it's just this overflow of anxiety and like, yeah.
Yeah, 100. I know. I totally get that. If I'm trying to find a couple cards that are okay. So like I live in Nebraska, and
Go Cornhuskers.
it's kind of this. Yes, yeah. It's kind of yes, for sure. It's the same mentality though. It's like not everybody like but for the most part, it's like you push your issues down and you just dig in deeper and you go. And nothing against my mom, but when I was dealing through these things, she kind of, talked to a pastor or whatever.
Yes.
And I'm like, I understand that would be helpful. And I understand what you're trying to say, but I need somebody that is in this field and kind of can help me navigate my emotions. Like they went to school for this and,
Yes.
I don't know.
Do
It's
we
just
have the
been
same mom? Oh my gosh. Like, yes, no, my mom was just like, you need to pray harder. Like, she's like, you need to just, and and that's great. And I never, whatever brings people comfort, but it wasn't bringing me in my journey and my trauma any comfort. And I did need something more, for my mental health and depression and anxiety and things that I carried around and like things that I was like, this is my fault. And that's not right. It wasn't that shame and those things that I carried around from that made me feel like I was broken. It wasn't something that I could pray away. And yeah, so, and that it's really not healthy. I know that parents and that like our Midwestern area are trying to make people be strong and say like this and that, but it's okay to like put that stuff down sometimes and to unpack that. And yeah.
and to me what I've learned is they do that. I'm not saying anything against their strength, but a lot of the reasons we go to therapy is because they didn't go to therapy.
Yes.
To work on their things and the things that they were uncomfortable with about themselves, and then we kind of get those things pushed onto us, not intentional. Yeah. And I think it takes a lot of courage to go to therapy. It's not easy to talk about your stuff.
No.
It is not easy. It definitely takes a lot of courage. And I think if people looked at it that way, instead of, oh, something must be wrong with them, it's like everybody has something going on. And if you're not facing that, that's on you. Don't attack me for going to therapy and trying to better myself. You know what I mean? So I try and keep that mindset more than hearing all the voices coming at me from the other way.
Yes. And what I actually just heard, I'm taking a class called Meeting the Goddess Within. And what I actually just heard, which like, it was just like a light bulb for me, but it was like, as you or as I am doing this healing and doing this process, that healing like reverberates and it goes. So it's like, it'll touch my mom in some way, like even though she's not going to therapy, it'll go on to my children that won't have to carry these sort of things. And so like that was just, it was really huge for me. And it helps me interact with my mom who has things that I know that's why she is the way she is, that she has her own things that she carries. So but yeah, that was just really such a huge thing when I heard that, like,
Yes, 100%. That kind of helps me continue to do my therapy, because there's some hard days where you're like, man, I do not want to talk about my stuff today.
Yes.
So but just for me, it's like thinking about my kids. Like, I don't want my kids to have to carry what I'm carrying. So if I can do the work to kind of at least put a dent in it, then it's totally worth it. So I did find I found a lot, but I probably shouldn't show you the full deck. Then nobody's gonna be like, oh, I already saw them all. Okay, so this one, I'll read it and then I'll show it. You repeat after me. I'm allowed to be both a work in progress and help others grow at the same time.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Is it birds? Like,
yes.
I love it.
I don't know what my thing is with, like, I kind of do, but like all of my stuff tends to have almost like a freeing.
Yes.
It's kind of like your emotions are trapped and you need to, like, get them out. Don't rush the process, babe. The slower the growth, the deeper the roots.
Oh, wow. I absolutely love that. So is this one more like, do you feel like it's more plant-based where like the back like has the is it? I absolutely love it. So I love that color palette. I'm obsessed. So you can see my nails. And I went to get my nails done and she's like, okay, you want Halloween green? And I was like, no, I want plant green. Like,
yes.
Yeah, so that's amazing. I'm so excited.
Thank you. I have a bunch of them. They are available on Etsy.
Perfect.
They're on
and I will put a link down below, guys.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Yes. I'll show you one more here. It's impossible to heal if you keep pretending you're not hurt.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah. Again, the birds, I don't know. They just keep popping up.
Well, and
They
that
must
it
be
just
my
like
favorites.
that means so much to me. Like that image just gives me so many things of like releasing those feelings or like touching on those feelings, bringing them to the surface, but then also like as you heal, like that light that everyone has
Yeah.
that's unique to them, like, you know, helps you shine and like get out there and like touch the people that you need to. Like that image
I
does a
love
lot
that.
for me.
I
Like,
I love that you said that because you just took what I put into it and you put it into words. And I just always hope when I draw, like you want people to understand you. Like that's just a core human need. And then
yes.
like when I do my drawings and people express it like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, we connect. You get what I'm trying to say. This feels so right.
Oh my
Beautiful. Thank
gosh.
you.
Yeah, that is amazing. What else? Okay. So I asked like I try to ask like some of the same questions to people.
Mhm.
And I know that like in the Healing Not Broken, you included a card. I always ask people like, how do you feel like your deck should be used, or how do you
Okay.
recommend it to be used? And I know that you included a card that's like you can kind of do daily card pulls, or you can journal, or you can look at it before
Mhm.
bed, like those kind of things. So how do you use your cards when you created them? But
Right. So, like I said, originally I made them for myself, and my intention was to just draw one at random each day. If I was having a really hard day, I would draw multiple times a day. And ironically, sometimes the same card came up. Like, no, no, you didn't listen to the first
yeah,
message. Come on back. But I just take the deck and I just shuffle them in my hands. And then sometimes before I shuffle, I'll like take a deep breath. Not everybody has to do this. I'm just what I do. Take a deep breath. And focus on letting go of control. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, I hope this card comes up. But I'm like, no,
you'll
just
get
see what
what you
happens.
need.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So then sometimes a number pops into my head, like 7. Then I'll shuffle 7 times and then see how many cards come out from that. It kind of just depends. Sometimes a number comes in my head and I just shuffle, or sometimes I just shuffle without even thinking of a number. And then whatever card falls out is kind of the message for my day. I know a lot of people like to face them face down and then just run your hand across the cards. And I know for people that don't normally pull cards, this is going to sound weird, but like you'll put your hand across and then you'll feel like a tingling in your hand. And that's kind of the area where you want to focus and then pull a card from there. And then I flip it over and I'll put it, I have like a little mini easel, and I
Yeah.
just set my cards on those and then I'll see it a couple times. But um, with my first deck, I read messages and I was like, oh my gosh, this person needs to hear this. So I would literally just give them the card. Like, here, I thought you might like this. And then like it goes a long ways. Like people are like, oh my gosh, you were thinking about me. And I was like, well, yeah. You read this message
Yeah.
and you're like, this affects me, but also I can see how somebody else is going through it. So give them out at random. I think it'd be fun to just like put them in like bathrooms, like on a mirror or something. Like if you have it in your
Yes.
purse, like just kind of leave it bus stops wherever, and then people see it. I thought of that because I've seen like where people do it with gratitude rocks or something. Like
Yes.
they take rocks and they just like leave them in random places. It's like, oh, this is kind of the same concept. So that'd be cool to kind of leave them at random, or
I
I'll
just want
share
to
them
be
on
best
social
friends.
media.
I
Yeah, we
just
can totally
um
be best friends.
so when I do tarot readings, like so like I just was in Rapid City and did readings for Hippie Haven for Halloween.
Okay.
And when I end the tarot reading, I have like this bag, and they're not Gabby Bernstein's cards, but they're similar to that, and they have
Okay.
a message on them, and they're kind of the same size. They're like little square ones. And so I just dumped the whole deck into the bag, and I shake up the bag and I'm like, just take this with you, and this is yours to keep. And if it's not your message, then keep it, and you'll know like someone that needs it, or like when to leave it somewhere for somebody. So like I
Yeah.
totally feel like that. Like, yeah, one time when I was really young, and that this idea came, this is embarrassing, but when I was like 21, I was like really sad about like someone that had broken up with me or something, and I was in the bathroom at a bar and there was a sticky note with like someone kissed lipstick and then they were like, "You're beautiful," on the in the bathroom
Oh,
mirror at this gross
yeah.
bar.
Yeah.
I was just like, thank you. Like,
Yes.
I
Dude,
really needed
honestly
that.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. I
Yeah.
get
And
that
so, yeah.
100%.
So when I go places, like I will definitely like leave behind little things like that. Like,
Yeah. That's awesome. Yes, that was kind of my thought process with the decks. And I've noticed because of kind of how I've made them, they can kind of be for everybody, just because everybody, who doesn't want positive affirmations as a
yes.
gift? You know what I mean? Like, not that I don't like tarot, I just haven't gone too far with that because I'm
Right.
still learning on my journey. And not everybody knows that. And I was like, well, everybody would understand what
Yeah.
these cards are saying. You know what I'm saying? Just with the personal messages, and
Yeah. And
hopefully,
everyone's healing something. I mean, it
yeah.
just, and like that's what I've been trying to do. Like, I've spent so much time really lost this year as to how to take care of myself and how to take care of my family and how to just like have, support my marriage in a pandemic and how to homeschool because of a pandemic. And we had a baby, we had a baby girl in the middle of August. So like I was pregnant during the pandemic and like going to the doctor alone and just like all this stuff. And I was just like, and then the political tensions and the racial unrest and like all the things that's been happening. And I was just like, I don't know how to fix these things. Like they're big things. I don't know what to do. And so finally I was just like, they're really big things that I can't fix, but I still carry that stress and that emotions around it. And so I would just
Mhm.
finally decided that like, I'm just going to meet 2020 with really aggressive kindness because there's
Yes, I've
like,
seen that.
that's all I can do. I can just hold
Yes,
space for other people and just be like aggressively kind. Like that's,
yes,
because 2020 kind of sucks. And so
honestly,
that's just what I'm doing. Like, kindness. Like, that's
right?
all I know to do.
Honestly, though, it sounds so simple, but so many people, it's just crazy how many people are just mean. Just
People,
like,
yeah, and people are
oh,
especially angry this year. Like,
oh
whatever
my
it
gosh.
is, all the things, piled on top of each other, people are just really angry. And so I was just like, kindness. Any chance that I can do something for someone else or just say something nice or, you know what I mean? Just
Yes,
kindness. People need
100%.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love your Instagram page because I was like, oh my gosh, we need this. We need more of these pages. Not sharing like all of the negative things going on, just all these positive messages just to help
Yes.
people. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, without all those like big weird things of like COVID lockdown and everything else. I mean, daily life is hard, work is stressful, marriage is hard, children is stressful. I mean,
Mhm.
there's, you know what I mean? We worry about our kids and we worry about bills and we worry about, how's your child doing in school? And, I haven't got to see my friends in however long, and I didn't work out for the last 2 years, or whatever it is. That's
Right,
just me.
right.
But I mean, we have all these things that just regular life is hard. So like these messages, I feel like taking that time, can you hear my 1-year-old running upstairs? I'm sorry. But it's
I thought that
just,
was mine, to be honest, because mine is doing. You might be hearing mine.
so, but yeah, these messages are so needed, and your cards are so beautiful, your artwork is so beautiful, and like just I love putting those out like on my page because I'm just like, I'm giving the world like something nice today. Like they just need, if anyone really needs this. And so many people have said like, I feel like this was exactly for me. Like I feel like this message was made for me, or I just feel like you're posting straight to me. Or 2 other people just yesterday were like, I just needed this. Like I posted the card about, I think that we had the little message about anxiety.
Oh my, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think it's one of my absolute favorite cards. Let me see, I should have it right here. But yeah, so I just posted this little message. I don't know if my camera will focus
Yep.
about the anxiety, and so many other people, because this is what I just needed this today. When I got this card, I was like, holy cow, I really needed this today. I am carrying so much anxiety. Like, maybe I'm not alone. And honestly, it's kind of easier to carry things when you know that you're not alone. And all these other people are like, no, I have so much anxiety. This means so much to me. And so,
Oh,
yeah, I mean, just definitely know that your cards are out there, like, helping people and helping them with their own healing and just doing really big things. So it's beautiful.
I appreciate that so much.
Okay, let's see. I'm babbling. What else? Let's see here. So you think, okay, what's your favorite card out of this deck and your new deck? Continuing to
Oh my
grow?
gosh. Oh, girl, I don't know if I can pick. That is
That's
so hard.
okay.
Honestly, I'd say one of my favorites though from the Healing Not Broken deck is the one you just showed, the anxiety one, because it's one healing not broke, you're healing not broken. Um, and it's a picture of a girl with a band-aid over her. I don't know if you saw that one. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
That is, yeah, that's definitely one of my favorites, just because it was the inspiration for the deck and a reminder I need often. Because on your bad days, which I have plenty still, I'm still healing. I'm not perfect, just like everybody else. And if I'm not hearing it from anybody else, that message coming up, regardless if anybody's telling me, is always powerful. So that one is my favorite from that deck. And then, oh my gosh, from this deck, girl, I don't know. I don't know. Let me do a quick glance here, but I kind of have an idea. So a lot of them, like you said, I'm looking at them now. I don't even notice I did it, but they have a lot of plant-based pictures and like nature, which is one of my grounding techniques when
Yes.
when I
Plants are
can't.
so healing.
Yes, yes. My husband kind of looks at me weird. I'm like, you got to take off your shoes. Like, put your feet on the ground.
Yes.
What? Just do it. Or if my kids are acting up, like I'll be like, Haley, let's go outside, take off your shoes, go run around. And it helps. It really does. It's like my happy place. So like when I was making this deck, I just kind of unintentionally drew a lot of nature. I knew it was a big part of my life, and apparently it just came out in my drawings. But okay, so I have one here. I'm trying to find this other one real quick for you. They're all really good reminders. This one, oh. I think illustration wise, this is one of my favorites.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, I love the moon.
It says, you're not a burden, share your story, share your emotions, the right people will hear you. So especially with the pandemic going on, I feel like a lot of people are trapped inside and they don't want to share their story. A lot of people don't want to share their story in general, but then with a pandemic on top of it, they're like, well, everybody's kind of doing this, so what's the point of talking about it? And the suicide rates are higher, and I don't know. I just hope this deck finds the right people at the right time. That's one of the cards and one of the reasons why I made that one, just because everybody is so afraid to share their story, and it's hard. It's hard to talk about your stuff and not feel.
And well, and people always feel like they're burdening,
Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
it's
Well,
understandable.
you said pick one, and I'm over here like, here, look at this one.
No,
and this
that's
one.
okay. No, I'm just like, I like can't wait to see them. No, that's totally fine.
Okay, and then this one, I love the quote and the illustration. It's actually the one behind me. Today, free yourself from the weight of what you cannot control.
Oh, that's amazing.
So I don't know. Sometimes we just carry that weight. Like we just want to because there's so much crazy, you want to feel like you have control over something,
Yeah.
But not everything. We can't control everything. So it's just kind of a reminder, just take a moment. And I shared this one, I think, already.
Yes.
Yes. So that one's a good one. oh my gosh, I could just be like, I love them all.
Yeah. Well, of course. Yeah. And no, that's exactly like when I do readings, I mean, that's exactly what I tell people. Like, if nothing else, like take your stuff and leave it here with me. Like for today, just leave it here with
Yes,
me. Like, you know,
that's
because
beautiful.
it gets to be a lot to carry around with you, you know.
Yeah, for sure. For
What,
sure.
let's see here. Okay, so before I let you go, do you have
Yeah,
any advice to give to aspiring deck creators?
just do it. Just do it. I know they're so like for me, there's so much self-doubt. And you're like, there's so many cards out there. Like, why do we need another one? Because we don't have yours. We don't have your story. We don't have your messages. And making them, just have faith they're going to find the right people. It's what I say every time I make them. I'm just like, I hope these find the right people. And before I send them out, I know this is going to sound weird to people. You might understand what I'm saying, but I surround my cards with like a white light of love and
Yes.
healing. And I'm like, I just hope these cards can find the right people. I hope this brings them healing. And then I send them out. And then at night, before I go to bed, do the same thing, like just like a small meditation, because I have a hard time meditating right now, just because I have all these things popping up in my head right now. At night when I'm trying to fall asleep, I try to do a small meditation for my cards, and I hope these cards find the right people. And then I'll wake up and there's a couple sales, and I'm like, oh, thank you. But do it. Just make your cards,
Yes.
and they'll find the right people. Just trust the universe to do its thing.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So thank you so much for sitting down with us today. If anyone wants to pick up these cards, I'll put a link down below. Also, you can find Brittani on Instagram at Healing Not Broken for more updates and to follow the new deck. What else? Do we have anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay.
That's
All
it.
right. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see
Yeah,
you
of
back
course.
for another video.
Sounds good.
Bye, guys.
Bye.